What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. The day after defeat to Napoli, a very painful defeat, and it's not the worst thing that happened on the day. The worst thing that happened on the day is Spalletti's presser because he sounded deflated, he sounded defeated, and he sounded literally giving up on certain players, or let me rephrase it, basically throwing on some players out there under the bus, or just in front of the bus, waiting for the bus to actually run them over at this moment in time, after completely backing all of these players not even a couple of days ago. This was a completely different Spalletti. This was a Spalletti who made clear statements about Openda, about Yildiz. I couldn't believe what he said about Yildiz. Also about things and conclusions he made based on the last two, based on the time he's been here and the things he tried out. He said, I tried out two different things and now I need to make up my conclusions. And that doesn't sound good for players, but also for him in general. I know a lot of people want to talk about Spalletti's game management against Napoli. We will do that, but again, big picture, this is much bigger than a one-off game from Spalletti where he made some wrong calls. This is about years, not about a game. We should be focusing on the big picture rather than, again, complaining about one game, a coach making bad decisions, when it's the same thing that has been happening for years. Anyways, before we get into it, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, click that hype button as well underneath. Appreciate that. And yeah, throwing players under the bus. After the game, he came out with, I thought, a very odd statement, partially because it was about Yildiz and Openda. He said, oh, you guys asked me, he was talking to the journalist, he said, you guys asked me a couple of days ago why Yildiz is not getting rest, and now I'm giving him rest by playing a player who cost 50 million euros on Openda, and it's still not good. He said, oh, Yildiz is a fantastic player, he contributes with goals, but even he needs to give more, even he needs to do better. And I'm like, that cannot be your take after this game. Was Yildiz, besides the goal, was he playing fantastically well? No. But he's the only player who can do something. For in context, in the league, Vlahovic has 3 league goals. Openda has 0 league goals. Jonathan David has 1 league goal. That's our attacking force. You cannot look at Yildiz and be like, buddy, you are the one I'm going to talk about right now. It's telling you you need to do better. Other players need to step up. When you talk about Yildiz, formation-wise, did I like the formation? No, absolutely not, because Yildiz was lost up there. So was Conceição in that 3-5-2. There was no reference point. They were struggling, period. The idea was to overload the midfield. We overload the midfield and we still couldn't dominate the midfield. So don't you want to talk about the players out there who couldn't dominate a midfield when they had an extra player in there? Isn't that the focus of the game? Shouldn't that be the focus? Then we can see, okay, in the halftime, we bring in Jonathan David, we switch formation, we go away from that 3-5-2, we score, what do? We go back to a 3-5-2, we concede, what do? We switch formation again. So as much as he wants to talk about individual players, which is the biggest point in my opinion, you made mistakes on the day. The formation didn't work, you adjusted it, it kind of worked, you scored, you conceded, you adjusted back, you adjusted again. Like, that's on you. It's as simple as that. There's no need to ask after this game, talk about Yildiz needs to be more, doing more, etc. What about Openda coming on? John David coming on, looking ass. It is what it is. He looked bad. It looked like that's awful from Jonathan David. I have lost every single faith I had in Jonathan David. I didn't have much faith in Openda when we signed him. So, I mean, there was never really any faith. So we are in trouble from going, from that regard, looking at that standpoint, we are in trouble, But the big picture is the same squad. I had a discussion with someone, it's not to call him out, and saying, we miss Bremer. Yes, we miss Bremer because he's the best defender by a country mile in this club. But he's like, getting Bremer back is not gonna change a thing. But we might look a bit more solid. But overall, like, Bremer is not going to be the reason we will click up front. Bremer is not going to be the reason Conceição makes smart decisions. Bremer is not going to be the reason Openda and Jonathan David start scoring goals. Bremer will not be the reason that midfield can control a game. That is not what Bremer is going to solve. It's as simple as that. Bremer is not going to be the reason McKennie making up a perfect assist for Højlund for no reason whatsoever. Bremer is not going to change that fact. We've seen it at the start of the season, and we didn't look good with Bremer. That's not me calling out Bremer, but for me, that's just a utopia. Thinking that Bremer comes back and is going to solve a lot of things. We might pick up a point here and there extra, but big picture, it's not going to do much. How sad that also sounds. It's the reality of the squad. We're not one player dependent. Yildiz, but even then, Yildiz scores and we still do not win. Yildiz shows up in certain games and we still do not win. Bremer is not going to solve that. I wish it was that easy. I really do. But it's not that easy. The fact that Spalletti came out post-game and actually made those statements about those players when he was backing all of them, not even a couple of days ago, is telling. He also added, and I thought that was important, he said, we tried out three different things, since I've been here. And now it's time up to make up conclusions because we reached a point where I've seen enough basically, and now we need to decide, you guys no, and this guy no. This is not going to work. Kostic, for example, comes on. If I see one more report saying that he can get a new deal, I will lose it. These players should not be at the club. They're not good enough. I don't care that they pop up with an assist or a goal now and then. Every single player can do that. So that means Openda scores 3 goals in the next 3 months. We're like, at least you score goals. No, McKennie, whatever Spalletti says, he works like all the coaches like him a lot. Good for the coaches. Me as a fan, I'm looking at McKennie. Again, big game. It's unwatchable. It's just unwatchable. If you actually love this sport, if you actually love this club, there's no way you can sit there and be like, man, players like McKennie and Kelly and Gatti and Cambiasso should be playing for these clubs. Some of these players show heart but no quality. Some of the others show no heart, but they have the quality, but they're not showing it, so you shouldn't be here. Kelly, at the start of the season, he had a couple of good games, and people were, digging up old tweets from every other person calling out Kelly. What about now? What about now? He played a couple of good games. Good for him, good for us. Is he good enough to play for this club? No. Why? Because he's not a good... He was a bench player at Newcastle United. And with all due respect, and you want me to believe he should be a starting player for Juve. That is insanity. He's bad, and a couple of good games are not going to make up for it. They're bad players. Koopmeiners, for example, played a good team for once, a team that, has qualities up front, and he was struggling. And I'm not really going to blame Koop on that because we didn't bother him to play center back. I'm going to blame Koopmeiners for playing midfield and playing that poorly. That is where I'm going to blame Koopmeiners. Not for him getting cooked as a center back because he's not a center back. Yes, he played that at Azad, but still, he's not a center back. That's not what we bought him for. So a lot of things at this club are wrong. It's so bad that Spalletti already right now is showing cracks. And for me, it would be very easy to attack Spalletti because I do not rate Spalletti as a coach. What he did at Napoli, fantastic. I won't call it a fluke because to fluke a league, you need to fluke 38 games. I think that's a lot. But he built a fantastic squad team on that season. But that's it. I do not rate him as a coach. And it's easy for me to jump on Spalletti's back right now and say, you know what, get out. It's you. I'm not going to do that because I was not even doing that with Tudor. If you were on this channel long enough, I was not calling for Tudor to be sacked or Spalletti, to not be hired. I couldn't care less because it's the same players, it's the same result. You can bring in, again, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp as his assistant. We will do nothing with this squad. It's the same issues all over again. Just look, we lost possession over 100 times in the second half combined. And some of those, you need to look it up. Some of those possessions are touches where, like Jonathan David, he wanted to play 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It bounced out to a Napoli player all of those times. It wasn't even close to reaching a teammate. It's been that bad. So we can talk about coaching and formation-wise. He could have played a 4-2-3-1, 1-4-3. Like, name the combinations. If players out there play like that, without soul, without any quality, You can put out any information what you want, the result will be the same. As Spalletti just clocked that these players ain't it. He's in trouble, we're in trouble, this club is in trouble. We have no sporting director and we're heading in January. We're doing transfers based on stats, AI. And I told you at the beginning in the summer when we signed up Pandown, people are like, you're crazy if you don't think he's worth 40 plus million. Have you seen him in the Bundesliga? I've seen him in the Belgium league. He's not a crap player, but he doesn't suit the Italian league. That's one. And he won't suit what we are going to do. And he doesn't suit that. Period. It's as simple as that. And it's nothing to do with his abilities at Leipzig or in the Belgian league. Different scenarios, different formations, different ideas, different styles, whatever. It does happen to many players. And now we're here sitting and we are in massive trouble. Like absolutely massive trouble as a club. Because there's no solution. This is how the season is going to be. We will win a couple of games, maybe, and we will draw, we will lose, we will win. That's the season we're going to have. And top four, with all due respect, we shouldn't even talking about that. We should be focusing on fixing the problem and making a statement as a fan base because this is much deeper than 1-2 signings, a new coach, or whatever. Let's be realistic with this. This is not about we need the right coach. Well, we need a good coach, obviously, but the good coach is not going to work with this squad. This is not about, oh, if we get Bremer back. It's not about that. It's much, much deeper. It's much deeper. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about the comments Spalletti made about Yildiz, about Openda, about, you know, the ideas that he had and how he's going to drop conclusions, etc. And where do you think this is heading? Because it feels like it's borderline, again, becoming an issue where the players will turn on, you know, each other or the coaches. Anyways, in the comments, let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will speak each other tomorrow for a new podcast show. Stay tuned for that. Excited for that. I have a new idea. I have a new platform, you know, to do things. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, tomorrow. Ciao.